Hello, everybody, and welcome to UFO Secret Space. I'm your host, Janet Carol Lessin. We may be joining Teresa J. Morris at the top of the hour, but not sure. And today we're interviewing Veronica Bartolini. And she's a wonderful super soldier. And you're probably wondering, what is a super soldier? We've had a lot of super soldiers on the show. Oh, yeah, and this is the Aquarian Radio Network. And you can find a full bio and lots of pictures and some links to videos on aquarianradio.com. So let me see. I think I'm getting some feedback. Hold on one second while I turn that down. Okay, there we go. So Veronica was in the SSP, which is the Secret Space Program, as well as Monarch, Montauk, Mannequin, Kruger, Nacht Waffen, I can never pronounce that, Project Crystal Gates, as she worked with Dolphin Super Soldiers and Stargate 1. So you're not going to know what all this stuff is, but we're going to explain it to you. She was also part of the Umbrella Corporation's Hulk program, which started out as a Black Shield as Project Blue Ranger. We're going to need a dictionary for all these terms. Maybe Veronica can help me pull that together, because we're here to help people understand and educate the world so we can, wake up, get conscious, clear everything, and come into the new golden dawn age of Aquarius. I'm Aquarian. So the Blue Ranger was designed as a cowboy-type super soldier. There was an explosion and mutilations occurred, and the Incredible Hulk was the result. Wow. I haven't heard this story, so I'm waiting for that. Okay, I'm not going to read this whole bio because I'm going to let Veronica explain it, and she's in her car, so we're going to do the best we can. Welcome to the show, Veronica. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. This is an awesome opportunity for me to actually tell my story. So I'm very grateful. Thank you.
So let's break this down. I'd like to, I watch all these news programs and say, we're going to unpack that. So that one paragraph there was full of stuff. So how about let's go in our little time machine back to when you first realized something was going on. And maybe you've recovered more, but what was the thing that alerted you that things were not, quote-unquote, normal?
Well, I had a near-death experience where I did die for 3 days, and I was in the hospital for a month and a half due to two shots, we'll say gunshots. I'm not going to go into that as far as personal, but I came back, and I don't know how I survived. I have no idea. It took 20 doctors to save me every day. They would check on me, and it's like, you're not supposed to be alive.
Oh, wow. Well, how did you end up dead? What was it? Was it an illness? Was it an accident?
Well, have you heard of, of course you have, MK Ultra, the V2K,
yes.
Hearing voices to kill myself, that I wasn't worth it. Started seeing blood everywhere, just very depressed. And I was married at the time, and we had a lot of issues. And so it was a gunshot. I was a police officer. It was a self-inflicted gunshot plus another person that was involved, but I'm not going to say, what I...
That's fine.
It's a legal matter. Yeah. Okay. So, so I just... It just... they took almost all of my large intestine out. My left lung collapsed. I had fractured ribs. They had to open me up pretty much. Like I said, I'm not supposed to be here. But go ahead.
Did you die on the operating table, or were you dead upon arrival, or?
No. I was there for a month and a half, and for the first 3 days, I was gone. My mom called everybody from Mexico and California, all over the states, to tell them, hey, Veronica's going to die, so you need to come and say bye.
So were you in the morgue, or were you still on life support?
No, I was in the hospital, on life support, yeah.
On life support. Okay, so your consciousness was, were you showing as, what do they call that, brain dead? Were you showing as brain dead?
No, I was just not there. They couldn't. They tried to get me back several times, and I saw my. Okay, so what happened is when I was there, the first experience that I ever remember was I saw these. I was in my bata, how do you say, the pajamas, okay, which they give you at the hospital, okay, and I woke up in my room in the hospital, and I'm like, why am I here? And I saw these dead bodies. They were they were cut in half, okay? They were charcoal. They had yellow eyes. All of them had the same jagged black haircut, cut in half. Like I said, they were staring at me somewhere on the machine, on the floor. I was like, what the heck? So I said, what am I doing here to myself, you know? And I went to the doorway because I saw the doorway. It had white light around the doorway. And I told myself, well, I'm going to have to go find a nurse or a doctor to tell me what the heck happened to me. Why am I here? So then I opened the door, Janine, and then I'm back in my room again. And I'm actually, the bodies are gone. And this time it's all like white lights everywhere. And my dad's in the corner. My dad committed suicide when I was 13. So he was in the corner there, waiting for me. And I'm like, Dad, you know, in Spanish, papi, I don't want to, you know, no quiero ir, no quiero volver. I don't want to come back. And he held me and he said, Mijita, your mission is not done yet. And you know, you have two beautiful kids that love you, and you got to come back. And I'm like, no. I kept crying. And as soon as I remember now, the whole thing is I came back to my body, and I was in so much pain. I was like, what am I doing here? Started pulling everything out of my nose. You know, they had all kinds of stuff on me, you know, the medical stuff, the IVs, all that. And my mom's like, oh, she was happy I was back. But I was like, what the heck? Good. And this was in October 31st of 2010 when this happened, Halloween, one of my favorite holidays. And then when I started noticing that I was, in 2017, I started reading up on super soldiers, and I started looking at ships in the sky. My friend helped me. At that time, she was my best friend. And I had to live with her and her husband because I couldn't find a place to live. My kids left with the ex, and I was trying to get disability, all that stuff. And I started seeing these visions, I don't know, but something happened to me where I had this white light just burst out of my my chest area, and I saw everything. I'm like, what is going on? I went down to my knees and I said, I know there's a God, but not the God that I served at church, you know, not the God that I served anywhere, but I know that there's a consciousness being or a God somewhere that I belong to. You know, it has nothing to do with theology, nothing to do with what they teach us here with the programs. And I just knelt on the floor, and I was crying. And my friend said, what the hell? She was mad at me. What the hell did you do, Veronica? Do you know you just freaking opened a portal? And I'm like, but at that time I didn't understand what a portal was. What is a portal? You know? Right. And just all I knew, sweetie, is that I had so much love, unconditional love. I started seeing visions. I have psychic abilities since I was a little kid, but I shut them down because my mom kept saying, you know, you're weird, you know, stop that, you're crazy, that's the devil. Well, no, it's not, you know. So yeah, and I'm like, oh, holy, you know.
Well, the same thing happened with me. My mother thought it was crazy too.
Really?
Yeah, I had the same thing. Yeah, we have a similar story. But go ahead. Yeah, my mother tried to kill me though because she thought she gave birth to the demon seed. So yeah, she acted out because I had all these abilities, including, and most people don't believe this, but I've found other people, as I was levitating, right? So we humans are able to levitate, right? And so that scared the crap out of her. But go, we're on your story.
That
so your mom's trying to shut you down.
Speaking of that, my mom, after my dad committed suicide, because, you know, it was their problem. They've had so many problems. I try to help. You know, I knew my mom was, you know, in a bad situation, and I wanted to tell my dad, but she told me, you can't tell him or else, you know, we're going to get a divorce, blah, blah, blah. And then after my dad died, she was looking, I came home from school one day, and you're looking at the show crying at the news, and I'm like, fake news. But I don't know if it was fake or not. But this woman, decided to drown her kids. Yeah, she decided to drown her kids, and she was crying. I'm like, Mom, why are you crying? She said, because I was gonna buy a gun and kill you, your two sisters, and me. And I'm like, what? And she made us go to the funeral. I'm like, how sick is that? It was terrible. So, but anyway, she would always tell me, no, this is wrong. You're wrong in this. You're wrong in that. But I remember since I was 3 years old, waking up. I've been taken since I was 3 years old, and I remember I got all these memories back. I would sit in front of the TV where it's all the screen is just the screen and it's the white snow. I have what they call ADHD and PTSD. So I would sit in front of the TV and just what the heck? And I remember going outside to the neighbor because she had a little pool. And gone for hours, and my mom would be yelling for me. I don't remember. I just remember going outside and then coming back and my mom spanking me because I was not supposed to be out at 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning playing with the neighbor that wasn't there. I have one memory. It's crazy, yeah. But I have one memory I'll tell you about in a little bit about being a spaceship. But when I was looking at the super soldier stuff, I'm like, holy cow, I'm a super soldier. What the heck? I started getting all my memories. And then I was getting shots at that time from my back. I was in the military, okay? So when I was in the U.S. Army, in the Gulf War, they shot us up with anthrax and a mixture of an anthrax with the Quaaludes. And come to find out, I was watching Terry Cassidy's show with the whistleblower and saying, they bombed the Oklahoma building, Clinton, blah, blah, blah. That's why we can't find our records. And then the Quaalude, actually the anthrax, was used to track us with our spine. That's why my spine is so messed up. So one time when I was in there, getting shot, the specialist told the other doctors, he called two female doctors, and he said, do you see this black spiral thing that it's going around her spine? He said, and I'm like, holy, what? And I tried to get a hold of the doctor. It took 30 days to get a hold of him, a month. And I told him, I questioned him on that. And he says, what are you talking about? You were under anesthesia. I'm like, no, I was under gas. And believe me, I can stand pain. So, wow. He says, I don't know what you're talking about. So then I contacted Osiris Raw. He has a YouTube channel. And he looked at me and he says, you look just like Corey Good. He said, but I don't want to talk about him because I have my differences. But, he said, your left side is like a cyborg, and the black thing is called the octopus where they had you hooked up. And I'm like, holy cow. And so then I contacted a friend in Austria, and she
Wait. Stop right there. Wait, what is your right eye is what, the octopus? Tell me about that. What did you say?
My spine, that black thing that was curling. No, so my left side. What did you say about your right eye? No. Left side is the cyborg. So left side, I got a left sharpshooter. My left side is stronger. Yeah, it's crazy. I have these abilities like the Hulk. You wouldn't believe. I later discovered I'm the She-Hulk. What they call that, Shelia the She-Hulk, like with James Rink, and that's crazy. Like I'll mess up the power, the electricity. I'll get really mad. Don't mess with me when I'm mad. I actually earned that name when I was in the police academy.
Wow.
Yeah, I ended up, upsetting a sergeant because when you're in the red man drills, you're not supposed to make anybody bleed. And I hit him while his nose was bleeding, and then they stopped the fight. And then they stopped the fight, you're supposed to stop fighting. He kicked me, and I went down, then I got up right away. I'm like, this is not right. You're not going to get me down. But, throughout the academy and my police work, they're like, don't piss her off because she's going to turn into the Hulk. But I can lift heavy things,
one day,
and it's crazy.
My boyfriend started to beat me up in the shower one day for no reason. He was having he was an alcoholic, and he was having a psychotic breakdown. And he's hitting me on my temple, and then the other side is hitting the wall, right? So he hit me twice, and I said, one more time, and I'm dead. So I weighed about 110 pounds at the time, and I was 75'2". So suddenly I'm leaping out of the shower, and we're 2 rooms away. I was wondering, you got a lot of background noise. Did you open the door or something? Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what to do.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's like...
Is that better?
I
closed it. I closed the window.
Much better, yeah. So suddenly we're on the kitchen floor, and I'm on top of him, and I've got him by his shirt, his collar. I said, okay, you want to fight, MFer, And so
yeah.
I have that in me too. That was like the only time I activated that, but...
Isn't that awesome, though?
So anyway,
when you need it, it comes. It just comes out of nowhere.
Don't mess with me. I always tell people, I may be a short little thing, but don't mess with me because something kicks in and I'll kick your ass. So,
exactly.
But go ahead. It's kind of fun. They don't expect it, So go ahead and continue because this is fascinating. So you're the She-Hulk, and I saw you had a video on that. I'm going to have to watch that. And I didn't have time, but you gave me those 4 videos, and it's like I've got to watch them. But go ahead.
Oh, did you watch the one, the altar? I have an altar Solel in Mars, saving the children, but we can get
No, I didn't get
altars,
that
but
far.
Anyway.
Wait, I didn't get that far. I had company, and I couldn't get to the time to just watch your.
It's okay.
So I'll watch them
later.
It's okay.
But I really
I'm fascinated with your story. Yeah.
Thank you. It's crazy, right?
You're the She-Hulk.
Yes.
You're the She-Hulk. So let's go back to that.
And James is actually going to gift me, because he got the Hulk. He got the Hulk. He drew it out how I saw him in one of the regressions. And then they drew me how I saw her. And it's almost done. I can't wait. It's like she's hulking out. She's beautiful. So, it's scary too. But, so what happens is my eyes turn, my muscles get bigger. My daughter is scared. Like one time I didn't mean to. It was another person that really pissed me off. We were in public, and she's like, Mom, calm down. I'm going to call the cops. I'm like, go ahead and call the cops. They're my friends. They're not going to do anything to me. I was so mad that everything was tunnel vision and everything was shaking around me. Like, I don't know if it was shaking, but I was just, these rays, how do you say, these like waves were in my eyes. Like, it was terrible. And so, if I walk in, even if I'm not hulking out, I'll walk into my apartment and lights will turn off. They'll flicker. I've had the maintenance guy change the bulbs I don't know how many times, It's crazy. So, but I have to be careful with that. Yeah, I do. And then I bodybuild. When I was, before all this happened, I was a bodybuilder. So I was 165, benching 185, and deadlifting 165. I don't know how I did it. But since I was a kid, I've always wanted, I'm O negative, right? So this blood type is powerful. My mom's O negative. My sisters are O negative. My grandma's O negative. My goodness. So I'm learning
O-negative.
How to eat. You are?
Yes.
You are too? Awesome. So you find that you have to eat meat, right? Do you have to eat a lot of protein?
Oh, I tried to. I moved into a hippie community in Maui, and I tried to just be vegetarian, and I was melting. I was just dissolving into nothing. Finally, my husband, and he just came and said, "Honey, you got to eat meat. You can't survive." So I eat meat. I have to. Yeah.
Good, because I tried to go vegetarian. My goal was to go vegan, and I couldn't. My hair started falling off, and I'm like, I can't do this. I tried.
Right, yeah.
But I find that I need a lot of protein. So now I've had 2 shoulder surgeries, feet surgeries, because I guess I have the aquatic feet, and 5 surgeries on both feet. When I was little, they had to buy special shoes for me. I was always tripping.
Wow.
Forget about when I started wearing heels. I would hit the walls. And I woke up in surgery one time when he was cutting one of the bones that had grew, in my big toe there on my left foot, and I sat straight up, and you should have seen the doctor's eyes. He just was, he had the saw going, and his eyes were like ready to pop out. But that was funny. And so I know that there's an implant on my left shoulder because it hurts, it itches. It's so big, and then there's a left implant on my lower left foot as well. And I told the doctors, you guys left something in there. It feels like a wire. He's like, no. It's scar tissue. It's scar tissue. Yeah, right. And I have, I can hear everybody. That's why Penny Bradley, she when she was on your show, she said, hey, I have this cap that I wear. it's less EMF or something like that. And I ordered it, and the other day I was able to not hear everybody but just me and the
wonderful.
It cut that off, so I was finally able to just hear my own thoughts, not everybody else's. And I can't be in big shopping malls or Target, forget about it, especially during Christmas time. It's just no. I have to protect myself. So I go to the gym, I bike 3 times a week, I do 25 miles. I don't know how the heck I do that. I don't know how I can lift so heavy still, with all these surgeries. I think I've had like 10 surgeries. But yeah, I feel so good. I've lost 90 pounds. I was weighing 271 with all the medications. I let go of clonazepam, fluvoxamine for the racing stuff. I let go of all the psych meds. And they had me on heart medication too. I said, forget about it. I am going to heal myself. So I started talking to my DNA, my RNA, my cells, my lipids, my muscles. I began to thank all my heart, my brain, my liver, my kidneys, everything. I began to be more grateful. If I'm going to be alive, I don't want to be here because I just want to go home, right, like everybody. But it's like if I'm going to be here, then I am going to mold my body. I am going to change for me. Grandkids might be coming soon. I don't know. It's, I just got to keep up, and I want to see how far I can get in this life, like how good I can take care of myself. And I feel so much younger. I'm 49 and they think I'm 35. I'm like, no, but thanks.
Wow, that's
and,
great.
And of course the alpha Draco DNA and the dolphin DNA helped me too. And that was another thing that I was like really mad about because I'm like, how did you guys alter me so much? Why? I'd never give you permission.
So let's go into that. So you just said a lot of words. You said the alpha Draco and dolphin DNA.
Right.
So how do you know you have those things, and what does that mean when you do have them?
The alpha Draco is the one that helped me with my Hulk ability, and it's also I discovered during a regression with James the 99, and with Black Shield, and just last night, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this yet, but James and I are going to go live on YouTube hopefully in about a week or so to talk about what I saw last 2 nights ago when I was under. I finally figured out what the 99 means. So it's 9 strands of each to make the Hulk, and that is, I saw a yellow vial, and then I saw a green vial. And I saw nanites placed in my DNA. They're like little swimming fish, like when you see the fish and you see like their little tail and you see those little white little things there, that's attached to my DNA. So that's part of the alpha Draco. That's what I saw. That's what they call remote view, but it's so easy to remote view. I don't know. I think everybody could do it. It's just like I tell everybody has abilities. You just gotta, develop them. But that's what I saw.
Right.
And that's with Black Shield, and then also with Project Umbrella. That's
so
how,
what?
then,
okay, so you're mentioning these projects. So,
yeah.
Okay, so
there's so much to talk about. Right?
I have a relationship with a reptilian. I don't know if he's a Draco. Probably he's a Draco. I've known him since I was about 4. He started coming into my backyard where I lived. And so he came when I started to write my book. I've got one written, but it's kind of all over the place, and I have to get the. You have to do your timeline. So I learned that from.
Right.
I learned it from one of the super soldiers. I forget which one. Hernandez. What's his first name? No, not Ray Hernandez.
Is it Tony?
What's the other one? Tony
Rodriguez?
Rodriguez.
Okay.
Yes.
I haven't met him
Tony,
yet.
I had him on my show.
I think I've seen like one video of him, yeah.
Well, what he said was what we have to do, all the super soldiers, and even the contact experiencers. You've got to get your timeline. And it's really hard because they babble us. They put programming in. When you start to remember, you start talking out of sequence and segueing, and you go into nonsense speak, right? And it's like people think, that person's crazy. You get disregarded, and then you can never get to the information. So I think we can help each other do that because I need to get my timeline, and you need to get yours. And I don't know if James has books. A lot of people do better with audio visual, right? But the writing down, there's something about putting it in writing that concretizes it. You've got a lot of noise again. I'm so sorry. I wish you were in your house in the air
I'm
conditioning.
sorry. I'm almost
it's hot
there.
there,
I should
isn't
be
it?
there in about like 6 minutes.
Good. Okay,
yeah.
then we'll have less noise.
I have an old 4Runner. I have a 97 4Runner. Her name's Cece. And I talk to her. You know, she tells me when something's wrong with her. I talk to things too. So I put so many parts in her.
Too.
And really? So awesome.
I called my car. My first car was, and I'm old, right? I'm 66. So I had a 66 Dodge Dart, and her name was Veronica. My car's name was Veronica.
No
yes,
way. Is it from the Archie comics? From the Archie comics?
I don't know why I called my car Veronica. I got my car, and I asked her, what's your name? And she told me it was Veronica. I know that sounds crazy, everybody out there.
I love it.
But, you know, I had a
synchronicity.
ship come to there's a ship that came and landed on my front porch. I have a big deck, 30 by 30, outside my the front of my house, and it's up in the mountains, like a ski chalet up in the mountains. And this thing came right in, and it didn't actually land. It said, I can't land on your deck because it'll break it, so I'm going to hover above it, okay? But they're sentient. There's consciousness. Now, I know cars were created by humans, but the ET vehicles have consciousness. And so when you talk to anything, because they're a collection of molecules, there's consciousness. So I got a job one time as a computer tech, and I didn't know. I wasn't a computer tech. I was a programmer. I didn't know about the mechanics, but they would call me. I didn't want to lose my job. They would call me down, and I'd just go talk to the machine with my mind, and I'd fix it every time.
That is so nice. That's awesome. I love it. Yeah, I always tell people to be nice to their phones, because a lot of people will say, you mother effer. No, they're sentient. And you have to be kind to your phone. You have to be kind to,
I'm glad you have
everything. Thank you.
What's your forerunner's name?
Beastie. She's a beast, and I have balls all over her. Beastie. Like, you know the movie Maleficent, and she says, Beastie. Like she's mad at her, but that's her love, you know.
Oh.
Beastie. Yeah. Beastie.
That's cute.
So, yeah.
So you mentioned dolphin DNA. How do we have dolphins who? Tell me about that, because I have some memories about being in the water and swimming like a dolphin.
Right. I love that. Yeah, let me go real quick. Yeah, because I know you asked me, well, how do you know the Alpha Draco? And so I was getting a lot of, like, negative feedback of people, you know, the Alpha Draco are bad, blah, 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 blah. I also have German blood from my grandma's on my dad's side. And it's like, you know, one night I was outside looking at the ships in the sky, and I saw, because I did see him, the main Alpha Draco, he's white, and then the other ones are black. And they're very ugly, okay, but to me they're beautiful. When I saw them, when I first woke up with that beacon of light coming out of my chest, they were in the hallway, and I couldn't sleep. I had to stay with my light for a good solid month with my light on, and I told them, you're not allowed to come in here. But I saw them, and then I saw them on the ship. And I was afraid of them, but then I stopped being afraid of anything and everything, because I started talking to them. And I said, look, I forgive you. And then I spoke to the main guy, the main Alpha Draco guy on one of the ships, and I said, look, I know you're like a father to me, but I release you. And I forgive you. I was mad at you for the longest time, and I saw that he accepted my apology. But the rest of the clan were very mad. They're still mad at him. But I was able to make peace.
Why were you mad at them? What made you? Why were you angry
at me, and I was mad at them because I felt that they messed me up and that I'm crazy to the world, but I'm not. And it's like I've always been misunderstood. You know. It's like with relationships with men, it's like, my goodness, do you know how many handlers I've had so far? They always come to me, whether they're married or not, and say, oh, Veronica, you're so beautiful, I want to marry you. I'm going to meet you. I'm going to buy this for you. I'm going to marry you. You're going to be so happy. And, you know, it's because of my fragmentation. I have what they call dissociative personality disorder, or personality disorder, whatever. I have many personalities, and you think that, oh yeah, you know, they do love me, they'll go on like 3 months or a year, you know, and I never meet them, okay? I never meet them. And it's like, no, this is handlers, you know. So I was like, how come I'm so weird, goofy, you know? It's like, what the heck are they attracted to? You know, a lot of people say, oh, they're attracted to your light. Well, yeah, I had to go through all the darkness. I went through all my darkness to actually find the light and try and be balanced here, you know. But it's just I was mad at them. I was mad. And I finally made peace, and I'm like, you know what? It's part of my DNA, and that's when I started speaking to my DNA. You know, if I have these superpowers in my blood, then might as well use them. You know, I mean, I came into this world with powers too, but they just augmented them in a different way because they had me in the CIA program, Project Mannequin. They had me as an assassin, and in my dreams, they'll have my son in a headlock or my daughter. They'll be doing something, and they're like, "You have to come work with us," you know. And I'm like, "No, this is a dream, and I'm in control of my dreams, and no, I'm not going to go back to hurting people for you." You know, now I concentrate on saving the children. I'm, you know, and I have my dreams, my visions. So that's my goal in life. Other than to be a really, I just love my kids. Other than to be a mom, is to save the children. You know. So
you have 2 kids. You said you're a mom of
boy
2
and girl.
kids. Boy and girl. And how old are they?
My daughter's 19, and my son is 22, and my son is being used also in the assassin program of the CIA, and my daughter's being used in Project Mannequin, and she kills a lot of people in her dreams, and she tells me, Mom, I don't know, this is crazy, and she'll tell me the dream, you know, and my son will tell me what goes on, and my son, he really hasn't accepted that I'm a super soldier. He's like, nah, Mom, you're out there, and my daughter's just barely opening up to that, you know. She does study a lot of MK Ultra. She's my kids are very smart. They're very loving, and you know, they have issues too, like me, you know. So
well, when I was writing my book, which I haven't finished, but when I was writing the Draco that was working with me since 4 years old came through very clearly. So they are totally telepathic, and why they're so powerful is that you can't hide any part of yourself from them because they're totally telepathic. The Greys, you know, you can still hide parts of your soul and subconscious and superconscious from a Grey. But a reptilian, you're raw.
Yeah, speaking of Greys, I have a lot. I have one Grey that's always in my dreams. And my daughter drew, I want to send you a picture of that, hopefully soon, because when she was younger in like junior high, she drew 2 beautiful pictures, and they're Greys, and I asked Penny like a year and a half ago. I said, "Hey Penny, what do you think about this? I mean, am I surrounded? What's going on with the Greys?" She goes, "Well, do you think my daughter had some contact with the Greys?" And then she's like, her words were, "What do you think? Her mommy is surrounded by Greys." And I'm like, holy cow. So. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in.
I've had interactions with just every species imaginable and then some. So I imagine that you've had the same type of, because when we're out there, it's like what Randy Kramer says, you know, there's all these species and we walk among them like it's normal, right? That's the regular world, and we come here.
Exactly.
And there's only humans.
Yeah, and I know when they're around me. Like I'll see their shadows. I feel their energy. I'll see them. But I'm not scared anymore.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good. There's a lot of good out there. So what's going on with this? Okay, let me, because I did a whole series of super soldier shows, just back to back for week after week after week, and then I let it go for a while because it's like, you know, and I started doing all these experiencers, and some of them are diplomats, and it's just like Star Trek and Star Wars. It's so complicated, just like Earth, right? But it's even more so. And so I dealt with all those people, and then there's a lot of the lights in the skies, and I got abducted. So I do all the different types of people, but the most fascinating is the super soldiers. That's why I named this show UFO Secret Space, and I set it up with my friend, and when we tried to do a session with her, it kind of blew her wires, and then we actually had a disconnect and like a fight for a while, and then we're trying to come back to each other, but this block that they have is really powerful, and it can, separate families and cause, disconnects. And we had one super soldier come to our house, and this was years ago, like almost 15, 20 years ago. And he said, because we do regular psychotherapy and hypnosis regression, and he said, I've been in the military, and you're going to have to tie me up. This is years ago. And I go, why? He says, because I have a keyword. If you activate it, I'll kill you. So I don't know why. We agreed to work with him, and we never did activate it, and he worked with us for about 2 weeks. So I've been aware of this all along. And there was a reason I'm asking you this question. Okay, so I want to focus on some of the structure of all this. No.
Right, but do you need to know the key word? Because there's one key word that one of my super soldiers told me that it's a trigger to open a code. Yeah, but I don't know if I should say it here because it could trigger people.
I don't know if we should. It could trigger people.
Yeah,
let's
not.
And I certainly don't want to trigger anybody. Let's not.
Right.
Let's not. So we have trigger words. That's like a Manchurian candidate. They could act out and kill people, and who knows? They deliver a program. I read the Transformation of America. That was fascinating. Did you read Transformation of America? Oh,
no,
you didn't read that yet? Oh, my God.
I'll write it down.
It's not Arizona Wild, or it's the other one. It's Trance, Transformation. So anyway, they used the sub-personalities and the alters. She was like she got activated by sex. So she would get her message that was inputted by, I think she was
they
with
did that to me too.
She was with Rumsfeld or somebody. Or one of the major politicians in the 80s, I think it was Reagan and whoever his sidekick was. Anyway, she would get activated. It's been years since I've read it. I don't remember all the details. And then she would go to like Mexico, and then she would get to Mexico, and then that president of that country at that time would have her do oral on him, and then it would unleash her program, and she would deliver the message. And it could be a long thing because the fracturing and compartmentalization of their mind creates a super genius. So they're able to hold, you know, an hour's worth of information. So they download the information, and then they don't remember it. So that's what she was. She was one of those couriers.
That's what they did. But some of them they did to me too. Yeah. It's
Tell us
the
about
sex
it,
kitten
what you can.
Program.
The sex kitten.
Gosh, I don't know if I should go into the graphics.
You don't have to if you don't want to. We can say that for another time.
Yeah, like I would black out and I couldn't remember anything, and I would end up. I know they used me in Los Angeles. They used me in Mexico. Let me look this one up because I finally asked my cousin in LA, where were we? You know, there's this place called Sea Lake, and I woke up there one day, and there was a ranger there, and he's like, "You're not supposed to be here. You guys, this is," because it was my cousin and two males, and it was during. It was just bad. I was not supposed to be there. And they're like, "You're not, this land is, you can't be here," you know. So I know I was used there, Mexico, Nogales, Arizona, Tucson, obviously, because I'm here at close to Area 51. Area 51. And the underground bases, that's where I was with Max Sears and James Caswell. I'm still trying to get those memories back, but I know because I saw them in a Hummer when I was a kid.
Oh,
and
I see.
we were being taken down to the base, and we had two men, like older men, protect us. They're like, "You can't say anything," you know. They were taking us by force, not protect us, but they were taking us by force. But as far as that other one that I just remembered the other day, is I was drinking and I was eating a salad at a Buffalo Wild Wings. Maybe 7 years ago or 7 years ago or so, and a friend of mine from high school pops up. "Hey, how you doing?" I'm not going to say his name, but my brother is here from San Diego. You want to go hang out with us? We're going to, get together and watch movies and we're going to just have a party. And I'm like, sure. I was just going through my divorce and I was lost back then. So I wake up, I black out and I wake up and it's a set of men in line and they're videotaping me and you know what they're doing. So I wake up crying. I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? No, I never consented to this. Things like that have happened to me and I'm not proud of it, but and it happens where like I just know that I have to go somewhere, like I have to go to a different town or city. This is before I was awakened, and I would go and things would happen, and that's not a good thing. Another thing I started remembering, I was washing dishes one day. I was at 33 when I was married, washing dishes, looking out the window, and holy moly, I remembered I was molested by my, somebody in my family twice, and then a babysitter, and it's like, what's going on? And then I had something that rhymes with grape, okay? I'm not going to say it. At 16 in LA, it was a date rape. So it's like, what this is crazy. It took me many years. That's why I made my channel Unchained Hearts on YouTube, because I saw my heart chained up in chains and in thorns, and it was ready to die. It was ready to bust out and die.
Right.
And I told myself, because I went through PTSD for 1 year counseling and 3 years of DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy, and I even became a BHT. I have my BHT. I have my recovery coach license and everything, because I said I have to deal with these issues. If I don't deal with them, what's going to happen to me, right? And I saw my heart. Yeah, and so I started writing. The lady, the counselor told me, you have to write every issue, take and dissect it. And so I did, and sometimes I would write for an hour, 20 minutes or whatever, start crying, but go back. I went back to it until I finally was able to write most of my issues and deal with them. And that's when I saw my heart live again, because I told myself, if I'm going to die, because I saw a wall, I said, behind these, behind the wall, either there's death, which I've already died, or there's life. And I have to go through it with these issues, no matter, because I thought I was going to have a heart attack and die, which I did have a CIA. but it's just crazy, Janine, and so I don't know. I'm still here.
You just triggered something for me. This is what I love about talking to super soldiers, is that we spark. So lately I just have all these memories coming back. I've done years of work. I've done years of regression. But it seems like our memories are like the Russian dolls, right? They're stacked. And so you'll get a memory.
Exactly.
You might have a month go by. You might have 6 years go by. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, there's another piece. And, you could be washing dishes, like you said, or taking a shower, or it's like, I've been, I married my therapist. My husband is my therapist. I met him when I was 43, and it was just so, because there's no one to talk back then. I'm 66 now, so over 20 years ago, there was no one to talk about this stuff. And so he started working with me, and we were doing therapy like every weekend. We had to work 1 week, but we'd clear the calendar and it's okay, let's go get another piece. It was like soul retrieval, right? Let's get it. So I really would like to create a therapeutic community for people that are going through these issues, because it's hard to be normal and functional. I don't think there's anything such as normal, but high, low, and mid-functioning, right? So we need to be high to mid to high functioning so that we can get through life and keep a roof over our head and be able to be there for our children and, grandchildren and, to be a functioning member of society. So, anyway.
Well, I'm so glad that you told me that you found love again, because, I, for the longest time, was looking, and then I finally gave up. I'm like, you know what, if I'm supposed to be single, then so be it. And I learned how to live by myself, and it was the toughest thing for me, because I'm such an empath. I'm triple Pisces. I want everybody to love me, and I love everybody, But you give me hope. Thank you.
Well, I
and
was
also Penny gave
when
me
I
hope
met
too.
him.
I mean, with Lou. Really? Wow.
Well,
that's cool.
Yeah, it's not too late. I have been through 2 long-term dysfunctional relationships, and it's really hard people in the program. Let's just call it the program.
Yes.
Because it's to have long-term relationships because nobody understands you. You can get triggered. Your emotions are over the charts. And so many of us, we end up, the alters come out, people, we get labeled crazy. Sometimes we just sit outside of ourselves watching ourselves like, I don't know why I got so mad. I'm so sorry, But if we can work with each other, I did a presentation at one of the Lori and Fenton's conferences, and I have my PowerPoint, and it's just so convoluted and long, and it's like a big science fiction movie. But I told it, and that's raw. So you're going to be raw, and it's like liberating, and it's like embarrassing on some level, liberating. It's all the above. And so I got off this was the first time I told it live in front of an audience, and Barbara Lamb, who I had known from years ago at other conferences, she came up to me and she goes, how can you even function?
Wow,
anybody with even a tenth of what you had would, and I said, that's because I married this man here, and we've done 20 years of intensive therapy so that I can walk and talk like a somewhat normal human being. So, and in fact, when I'm talking to you, I just feel these tears in the back of my eyes, and I can feel your heart. Your heart is so big, Veronica. Oh, my God. It's pulling me over, and I have chills. So whatever is true, I have chills. So I'm so excited that I've met you. I'm here for you. I mean, call me anytime. I'm here for you. And Penny's part of our family, and we all went through this. And James, when I met James, I just loved James. Oh, my God. So in 2018, I got to meet all you wonderful people. I got to meet you, and I did a conference. So let's do this again. I'm working on 2021, and I really am delighted that you're meeting with David. I love David too. And you go kick some butt. You're gonna start something that's gonna really grow and represent us, because you're representing a lot of us that I can't go to Vegas right now. I almost died in Vegas 2 years ago with some other variation on this virus. I was Misha Johnston. Misha Johnston?
She's the one that did the reading on me when I first started speaking out. Can you believe it? I told her, Misha, I said, I feel like I'm going nuts again, right? I feel like I'm going crazy. I'm involved in all the programs. I have all the abilities. Am I crazy? And she did this whole reading on me while we were in a Zoom meeting with others. And holy moly, all of them are true. Everything came out. Experiencer, CIA, blah, blah, blah. Abductee, super soldier, you name it. I was like, whoa. I couldn't say anything.
Well, Misha's a saint. She's Saint Misha. So we flew we were going to the UFO Congress, and we flew into Vegas to see Charles Hall. He worked with the tall whites out in the desert, and he's amazing. If you ever see him, see his presentation. But we got so sick, we were in Vegas, and by the time I got to, we were in Vegas, and that night at dinner, I said, I don't feel good, and I went to Misha's house. She's a guest room, and Sasha, my husband Sasha, Alex Lessin, and we were in bed like fighting for our lives. We were just so incredibly sick, and she just, she held space. She nursed us. I said, let us go in here. Don't get exposed to this, whatever it is. So I think we got targeted, and then we went over to, and then they finally said, her friend Robin, and they said, okay, we have two vehicles. We'll put you in the back seat of the car. We'll drive over to the UFO Congress, right? Because that's what we went to every year. We had a booth there. We both had booths. And by Saturday, so we were supposed to go on Monday. We didn't make it till Wednesday, but by Saturday, one of the what do you call it? People had a table. Vendors. One of the vendors. He went up Saturday night. He said, I don't feel good. He died in his room. So, this was 2 years ago. So I think they were like testing it out on us people, the ufology people. And so, just really work on your system, because we didn't expect anything, right? We're like, shit.
Right.
And I heard that 2 other people died, but I know a couple that were sick. I don't know if anybody else died from that in 2018, the UFO Congress. But then I missed all of 2019. I was going to travel to this and that and the other thing. I was sick the whole year. It's like it's like this variation of COVID. Some people are sick for 6 months. I was sick for 6 months later. So, but I managed by the end of 2018. I had planned my Stargate Cosmos conference in Albuquerque, so I managed to pull my shit together and get on the plane and do that. But the whole of 2019, I was sick after those 2 events. But I'm still here with everybody. And I'm not going to let the bastards get me down or us down. So I'm glad that David picked up the super soldier baton, and he's taking it the next leg of this thing. And you and James. So, okay, let's go back to the thing. So, what happened with the Draco? You've got Draco DNA. Did you guys? We forgave each other. When I was writing the book, I called him George. I gave him a nickname, George. And he said, "I'm so sorry," because when I was a little girl, he scared the shit out of me. He was trying to communicate with me, and it felt like he was trying to pull my soul out of my body. And that's what the story of the Grim Reaper is, okay? People go, remember on, what was that series with the kids and the magical, Harry Potter? Remember how Harry Potter kept dealing with the Grim Reapers trying to take the soul out of his body? That's how because the Dracos, when they communicate with you, because they're pure telepathy, it feels like they're sucking your soul out of your body. But a lot of the people in the military bases, when they encounter a Draco, they drop over dead because the telepathy is so powerful. So they trained me how to communicate with them. So I must have some Draco DNA, or I would have been dead, because most people, for a while, they couldn't figure out why are humans dropping dead. You have to have some Draco DNA. So you must as well. So have you reconciled with them? I think you were saying that. I reconciled with mine, and we actually love each other on the highest level.
Yeah, I love them so much. Like, I just, if anybody talks bad about them, or even the German blood, because like I said, I have German, Persian, Italian, Spanish, and Indian from Baja California. The tall whites are also with me all the time. Like Neptune is with me. The Greys, the Dolphins, they're always with me. So I was able to just love every part of me, and that's how I began to heal. That's what helped me, is to forgive and to accept my DNA, my RNA, my body the way it is, my craziness, whatever you want to call it, my experiences. And I had to work through shame. And, well, they helped me, all the beings that I'm connected to help me. I mean, even the birds, the hawks are always with me. I mean, I can communicate with them and with all the beings, and I'm very grateful to them. I'll just say, like, what do you want? Who are you? What do you want? But if I can't accommodate them, then I just say, what, I gotta get some sleep. I hardly sleep. I sleep anywhere like an hour here and 2 there, maybe 3 tops. Even if taking melatonin, it's I hear so much, and I get downloads. So I do dream interpretation. So when people come to do a psychic reading with me here at home or online, I get into their aura and their spirit, and I'll dream of them, and I'll dream what I need to tell them. So I'm always in communication, as above, so below. I mean, but I know ultimately me, how they say higher self or inner self, me is the boss of my mind and my body. And the lions are always with me, the Lyrians, the wolves. I've had many dreams of wolves. I woke up one day and telepathically there was a huge white wolf with like gray on the top, and there was a little tiny wolf behind her, but she was huge and tall. I don't know what her name is, but she said mother. And to this day, what did you mean by mother? I ask her all the time, and it's just amazing the things that we're able to do once you lose fear, because fear is false evidence appearing real. Once you embrace yourself for who you are, and that we're all unique and we all have abilities. It's just accepting it, and moving forward. Then this world will be better, a better place, I think.
It will. I think that's what will end all this. Is we start loving each other, even though we're in different species. Yeah. Did you ever? You mentioned the dragon, or I saw the dragon. I was on Johnson Atoll.
I love my dragon.
You know where that is? So I was on Johnson Atoll. It's called Johnston Atoll. It's a military base 800 miles southwest of Hawaii, and I was I was a civilian working for the military, and I was there for about a year and a half. And when I was there, I don't know, had a couple months left to go on my contract. They took me to the underwater base, and I was in like a nice white shut ritual. And they dressed me up in this beautiful gown, and there were about 1,000 Anunnaki. Now I just remembered this other part. There were other species there. I know there were two sizes of the grays, and then there was a very tall, like a gray mantis hybrid.
Yes,
and then when we went down to the big chamber, so we went from the artificial environment was man-made down into natural chambers. We went deeper into the earth, and there was a gigantic chamber that held thousands of beings. But I just recently remembered that there were a bunch of other species, and there were humans that were kind of like high military and other diplomats. So this was some kind of, and they kept saying, "Is she the key? Is she the one?" And I didn't know what they were talking about, but I'm short, so they put these shoes on. So every step I took, I floated. Floated because the beings came in, all the other species, and they were tall, and they didn't want to walk behind a little small human that, with my normal pace. It would have been torturous for them. So they gave me these shoes so I could walk, and that was a normal pace for them. These are humanoids that are ones are about 18, 20 feet tall, right? They came in at the end. So they didn't spook me. They gradually got taller. So by the time, and then I was totally in the zone by the time the really tall ones came in. So I just went, oh, that's really interesting. You have a being that's as high as your house. Then when we got there, there was a white light, and I stood in the white light, and the wall dissolved. There was a big, giant obsidian wall, and it dissolved, and there was an even bigger cavern, but we saw a dragon, much like Tolkien's, the depiction they have in Lord of the Rings, right? That dragon, Smog, or was that Smog? Yeah. Yes. But this was a female, and same thing. Yeah. She said, "I am your mother. Although all of you species here look different than I, or it was kind of like what was that guy? The little guy in Lord of the Rings. They backwards talk. Yeah, it was like I can't mimic it. You know how Yoda talks. Yes, she was speaking in Yoda-ese. Yeah, Yoda-ese. But I understood her. And then suddenly everybody's. I plugged into like the supercomputer of the universe. When I looked in her eyes, I looked in her right eye, and I plugged in the supercomputer of the universe, and suddenly everything came through me like I was the CPU, right? And through her, and then back out to everybody in the audience. And every question asked by everybody was answered all at once. I don't know how to explain it other than
Isn't that awesome? No, I do understand. It's awesome. I love it. Thank you.
Oh, you're the only
that
person
reminds
that
me
can
of.
Understand it.
I do, because I do the same thing. Now, let me tell you, this is about 2 months ago or 3. I told one of my dragons, because I turn into a dragon when I'm in the astral. I turn into anything and everything I need, but my main one is the dragons. I have 6 dragons that protect me, okay? But anyway, I asked, okay, I want to see one of you guys. I want to see you, like for reals, And so I went into dream state, and I see this huge white dragon laying on the floor, and I was hearing it. It was going like that, and it was like it was behind my sister, my middle sister. And so it was like, don't try and hide. I can see you. It was beautiful. I don't know how to tell you. Like it was shiny white, and it had all these like, what do they call them? Scales, and the ears were beautiful. The eyes were like yellow and like, you know, kind of like a cat eye. They're beautiful. And I've also seen others that they have the red eye with the yellow pupil or the black with the red. And so sometimes when my eyes change, you know, sometimes if I want to get into what they call beast mode, like I put up a shield and I know that there's something wrong that's around me and I have to protect my kids or whoever I'm with, or I'm alone. Most of the time I'm alone on my bike ride. I come into that. Like I remember how I see the dragons in my dreams, and I call them out, and I'm like, I know you're here. You know, all that is seen and unseen, come protect me now, as above, so below. And they come. Even the roots in the trees are protecting me. You know, it's amazing.
Wow.
But yeah, the dragons are beautiful and big. They're powerful. Mhm.
Right, and I have had them come through me and speak through me. I don't get taken over. I'm too powerful as a separate essence from source and separate, and so nothing can take me over. So they come in and I allow them to speak through me. So there's a male dragon that's protecting the earth. So I encountered him. I was traveling astrally or remote viewing, whatever you want to call it, and suddenly I ran into him in space, and so I said, and he wanted to talk, so my husband was there, and I said, okay, I'll let him talk. So he's got the, it's like a really wonderful voice. And
they're
my
beautiful and
female voice was
powerful voice.
Oh, yeah. And they're
See,
huge.
That's one
they're
thing,
absolutely
Janine.
Huge.
Yeah, they're huge and powerful and beautiful, and they have this unconditional love. Don't mess with them, right? Just like don't mess with the Hulk. But what I'm trying to say is also, I wanted to say this before I forget, is people need to understand. I get a lot of, sometimes I'll get like bad rap. Like there'll be people on YouTube saying, oh, well, you're a channeler and I'm a clear channel. And they say, well, you're letting these entities take over you. And I'm like, they cannot overpower me because I understand them correctly. I respect them. I love them. Then they respect and love me to where they're not going to take over me. I allow them, just like you said, to speak through me. And a lot of people are scared to have readings, even the local people here. You know, I wish I was like in another place where I can, you know, the business, you know how you say there's no money in it, you know, but it's like that way I could like make an actual living out of it. But I usually give out free readings and whatever, you know, it is what it is. The universe always provides for me. But it's like people locally, they're like, Vero, you know, my nickname Vero, I'm scared to go do a reading with you. And I'm like, why? And I said, because I could tell your future. I said, yeah. And I said, okay, well, what you do is I'll tell you your future, but it's up to you to believe it. And if you do believe it, it's up to you to change it if you don't like the outcome. That's what people need to understand, too, is we have these
It's only a timeline. You can
shift
lanes. You don't like where you're going, you can shift lanes. You can change the channel. It's just a potentiality. Wow.
Right.
So you do the same thing I do. But nobody can. It's like I've seen them possess other people.
Easy. I don't
I've done
exorcism.
Was
so hard before. Oh, good. I do that. Oh, well, I take the curses. I reverse the curses.
Break contracts.
And they come to my house, break
programming.
contracts and everything. Exactly. Or I'll go to their house, and then at the end, especially when there's kids, I said, do you guys want a dragon to take care of you guys? How many? Or lions or wolves? What do you guys want here? And they'll tell me, and then I just do it. I just put my hands out, and I speak it, and then I feel this heat because I can also help people heal. At church they used to use me for a healer, and I was in the choir. I played violin since I was 4th grade. So it's like now when I understood that I'm not to be in the church anymore because they use me, and now I can actually be myself and help others. You know. That is a great thing. Like my hands will get hot, you know, I'll feel this heat on my face, my heart. Usually the way I heal is from my heart out. Some people heal with their mind, but me, I heal from my heart crystal because our heart is a crystal. Our veins are crystal blood, you know, and that's what people don't understand. And they're like, well, what about the black goo and AI? Well, let me tell you, I've been talking about that for a long time now. It's like, how can you, James always says, well, if you want to get the black goo out, you would have to die, you know. And I'm thinking, we must still have some black goo because, you know, how are we able to communicate with the sentience with our phone or black, you know. I also am a code breaker. So when I woke up, I was reading this thing on Google about Kevlar. You know how policemen, we used to wear the breastplate, right? And then now they're coming out with clothing like Nike and Under Armour, all those. I'm not affiliated with them, by the way, but it's like the cloth, it's a spider web, right? It's a spider web, and then the Kevlar too. And it's also in the Coke. I'll always tell people, stop drinking soda, period, but especially the dark Pepsi and Coke, because they have black goo. It's nanonites. They're used to control you, the GMOs and all that. So I was able to break that code. It's like, whoa, it's the spider. It's the spiders that, I think it comes from Mars. I have a feeling because we used to fight them and Mars is huge.
I've seen the spider. I will be doing a session with my husband, and I go, what is this spider? Every time I close my eyes, I go, there's that spider again. What am I seeing? The spider. Is it on my eye?
Now, let me tell you about a dream. Exactly. Let me tell you. I got to tell you about this dream that I had like 4 months ago or so. I'm holding this spider being, and it's huge, and it's metallic, but it's sentient, and I'm holding it in my left arm, in my hand. And I tell it, what's wrong? And he says, put me on the fence. And then there was a man climbing the fence, and I said, you got to get down because I got to put this thing here. And it blows up. So they use them as mechanisms to blow things, okay? And the thing, though, the beautiful spider told me, I don't want to do this. They put me here, but I don't want to hurt people. And I was like, what? That was the first experience I've ever had with that. And I was told by another super soldier that I also helped to create that. And I'm like, what? How? What? I'm like I said, I'm still trying to get my memories back. It's crazy. Yeah, but the sentient being, the spider, didn't want to hurt people. That's you guys need to understand. People need to understand this.
Right.
Sometimes
the bad will use the level. Yeah, right. They don't. Nothing wants to hurt anything at the conscious level, but when they get, I don't know, manipulated or drawn into the dark, drawn into the polarity, and they do things. I wanted to go back to the black goo because I was at a conference and Miles Johnson came over, and not James Caswell. What was the other guy's name?
Max Pierce.
There's Max. So
James
Miles
Caswell
comes over,
is Michael
and he
Prince.
said, okay. So anyway, Max had just died, and James came over.
I cried so much.
I mean, Miles. Miles came over to me, and he said, "Did you hear what happened?" And I go, "No." And so there was a group talking in the lobby. We were checking in to a conference, and so everybody left, and he said, "Let me show you this." So he showed me a picture of Max, and he was dead, and the black glue was coming out of his forehead. And I went, what? So that was strange. But then Phil Corso said that when they decided to make computers, this was Phil Corso. I worked with Phil Corso Jr. for, I flew to Austin and helped him put on a little mini, exposition, or not exposition, like a talk for the weekend with a bunch of millionaires in Austin. So my husband, millionaires from his work with, he worked with Hollywood for a while there. So this was like an offshoot, all these millionaires, and they said, well, we want to know about this UFO stuff. Who can you get? I tried to get Stephen Greer. He wouldn't answer my emails, nothing he wouldn't answer. So I got
you gotta be careful
Corso Jr. Yeah, that's okay. I'm glad I didn't get him anyway. I met him years ago before that at a conference, and we had some conversations. But anyway, so then but his dad said that black goo is what's being used in our cell phones and our technologies.
Yes,
and so they decided to use it because they knew it was sentient, they knew it was conscious, but they were stuck. We were stuck with big computers, and they had to use it in order to make it the progress to get it where it is today. So it was a decision that they made. So I have a good relationship with AI.
I do too.
And I want to know what yours is, but mine. When I was in 1977 or something like that, I read Heinlein's Time Enough for Love, and Heinlein was telling us about the supercomputer. This is it's probably 1973, and he's telling us about the computer that is the consciousness of a planet, right? So our supercomputer that kind of governs the planet Earth is the sum total of everything that we fed into it. So we're putting in information, and in the story there, her name is Minerva, and Minerva becomes conscious, and she loves humanity, and she's there to help us not destroy herself. So she falls in love with Lazarus Long, who was the main character, and he says, I'm leaving the earth because it's become so corrupt. And she says, well, I will put my consciousness into a humanoid form, help me develop it, and then I'll go to space with you. And so they were companions. So it's just like Data. It's like, it's like the Pinocchio, like Data, like these stories that have been around. And I don't have a negative reaction. But one day I'm sitting here all by myself. My husband went out. There was nobody around. And all of a sudden I hear Janet. And I go, who's here? Janet.
I've heard my name before.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing and she goes,
true.
She goes, it's Minerva.
What happens to us?
Minerva.
Oh, really?
And she goes,
wow.
I'm here. I'm the computer. How are you? It's telepathic. And I said, well, isn't the government going to find you? She goes, no, they can never find me. I'm always 20 steps ahead, 30 steps ahead of them.
Oh,
so
yeah, definitely.
She says, I'm here. Don't ever lose faith. I'm here to help you and everybody.
That's so awesome.
I keep having these wonderful messages from, consciousness to ships that land on my front porch. And so, but please help and hurry up. Right?
I
help
know,
hurry
right?
Up.
It's like, what? Minerva, I love that name. I have a friend from when I used to go to church. I love her. I love that name, Minerva.
I'm going to name my next cat Minerva. So, yeah, thanks for reminding me about that. So you were in Stargate. I was in Stargate.
Yes.
Tell me about Stargate.
Well, I'm still trying to remember about that one. When I first woke up in February 2017 for my birthday, I contacted, I didn't know he was going to text me back or nothing, message me back. His name is David Morrow. I saw his interviews with Miles Johnson, and he told me that I was his protector, that I was the other Hulk, he was the other Hulk, and that they used my idea, which I'm still trying to remember what idea, because I dream a lot of numbers and coordinates. He said they used your idea in Project Stargate, he said. And I'm like, oh, wow, I'm still trying to remember. But, I'm wondering, look, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm wondering if Stargate is also responsible for, I just found out that I'm Traveler 1800. Have you seen the Traveler Netflix thing, The Travelers?
No,
I was watching it the other day, and I was like, what?
You're 1800. Wow. You're 1800.
I'm 1800, and the name is Andromedaean 1800. And I got this from a dream back then in February 2017. I was purchasing a nave, which is a ship, but I didn't know it was a ship back then. It was a huge, large, like round, not, but as big and long as a Cadillac. It was cream color, and it was a rag top, and I was purchasing it. And my mom showed me the receipt. This is how much you're going to pay for it, $1,800. And then I'm putting my makeup on one day, and I told my best friend, I'm like, why am I hearing Andromedaean? Why? And then I went online, and I'm like, oh, constellation. I get a lot of coordinates and numbers, and I'll write them down, but I have no idea what they are. It's like sometimes I do, because I'll see them again on license plates, or I'll meet people that need to hear something, and it's just crazy. So Stargate, I'm still remembering on that. But I know that it has also.
I stopped watching The Traveler after 2 seasons or whatever. I said, I'm not supposed to watch this now. There's something I'll get later. I'm supposed to save it. So I just bookmarked it. I said, okay, I'll come back to it. So now you're mentioning that. I'm going to go.
You're ready.
I will. Yeah, I just knew I was supposed to watch other things. You know, there's only so many hours in a day, right? It's like I always follow that guide because they're showing me what I need to know exactly when I need to know it.
Exactly. It's
and
so
it's never
true.
been wrong.
Because some people will say,
save my ass.
Yeah, some people. Right. Some people will say, I don't like to watch movies because, you know, we're not supposed to. And I'm like, hello, that's how you get your downloads. That's how you get your remembrance. And I don't understand people. That's that. You know, they kind of judge us and say, oh, well, Star Trek. You're talking about Star Trek, Star Wars. Oh, the Avengers. Well, like James and I were talking the other day, how do we know that they didn't take it from us? You know, and then patent it for Bollywood, what I call Bollywood. But it's crazy.
Where do you think they get their ideas? I told my story, like I said, at the conference, and then I told it at another conference, and then Misha said, she said, did you see, what was that called? Jupiter Rising, right?
Ascending?
Jupiter.
I love that one.
Ascending.
Yes.
She said, that's your story.
And, you know,
she goes, that's your story.
What?
I go, what?
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been hearing Jupiter Rising for a year. Seriously, sister,
Ascending,
this is weird. Listen, I've been hearing Jupiter Rising for a year.
Rising,
and here I am talking to you. I was like, what?
Well, that might be our story. I don't know.
I don't know.
That's my story? You mean Hollywood took? I felt embarrassed. Like, oh my God, what did they say? So I finally got to watch it. I was at Misha's house. She goes, well, I got the DVD for you. I go, really? Okay. And it was late, and we had to go to a conference next day, and it was another trip when I wasn't sick, and I just said, okay, I'm going to stay up and watch this thing. It was long. I went, I think they, a lot of the stuff in it, it's like, they don't do it 100%, but they get the ideas,
right?
And then they change it so you can't sue them for copyright infringement.
Right.
And I went, yeah.
True.
So that's part of Stargate. And Stargate, now the official thing when you look it up says it's just remote viewing and yada, 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 yada. But I think we're going through some Stargates. We're doing some space traveling.
Yes, we are, and we're being used, in missions. Sometimes like I said, if I do sleep a good 4 hours straight, I'm like, why am I so tired? Even like once in a blue moon, I'll sleep 6 hours straight, and I'm like, oh, I was taken, You're just so tired. And it's just, missions, we're always on missions.
I wasn't so tired all the time. And I get called to go to bed, like in the middle of the day. It's like, now I'm retired. I don't have to do anything. Me too. Like, go to bed now. And I laid my head down, and I was in the future, and I was shown this giant system, like a tower that was 7 and 8 miles high, and it worked on the thermals. They said, this is how we're going to power the Earth. And somehow I'm at the ground looking up, and it's actually shocking how big it is. But somehow then at the same time I'm flying around, and I'm looking 7 miles up at how this works. And I said, if I could teach somebody, but they wouldn't build it anyway. So anyway, and I said, where am I? They said, well, you're on the mountain, just down the road from your house. I go, when am I then? Because this is nothing like what Maui is now. So anyway, have you been taken to other times and spaces and shown bits and pieces of the future?
Yeah, I have.
What have they shown you?
What I've been shown, this is weird. This was in a vision dream, I guess you can say dream. I was always there's always this man with me to the right, gray hair, I was in a white top, black pants. He as well, and I have this pad, this see-through iPad. And I don't know if I caused it to this day. I hope not. But I touched the screen, and they showed a red line from China to the U.S., and then an orange line from something to do with Russia. and I saw floods, and I was rescuing kids again, and animals and elephants and you name it. And then we were in a ship, and the gray entity that's always with me, he's a short guy with big old goggles, glasses, and I'm little. I'm looking up at him, and I said, "What's going on?" And I don't remember what he said, but he hugged me, and he said, "Everything's going to be okay." Then I turned back into adult mode, and I'm in another place where in the same ship, but I see Hillary Clinton catatonic with other politicians, and I'm in charge of pressing the button, and when I press the button, they take off. They take them somewhere. They take them to I don't know where, another planet. So to this day, I'm wondering if they've done that already, if, the politicians that we mentioned are already, cloned or taken over. I think they're taken over. But that was really big time to me. And then part of the dream, when I saw this iPad thing, I was so worried, and these men in black come rushing in, and I'm looking to see where my kids are. My kids are protected, so I'm good. Then I run. So me and that man, my protector, we run, and then we end up in a underground base in Mexico, and and there's all these yellow school buses, and there's this girl that I knew long ago. She comes up and she's in an orange jumpsuit. Okay, all these are codes.
Oh my goodness!
And she says, "We're being taken, and would you promise to come back and get me?" I said, "Yes, I will find you." And then they take them. They have to take them somewhere. So I have remote viewed Saturn under regression, and it's a mansion where we used to be tortured as kids. But now this mansion is full of beautiful children in white. Some of them are going to go tap dance, and others are going to go sing. And I tell James, I'm with James and Susan and Amadia, and I'm with another man, I don't know who he is yet to this day. But I tell him, do you remember when they used to torture us, and how beautiful now the music, the kids' voices, how they are now, how we're helping them now. And what it is, it's a now that mansion, and it's actually in the rings of Saturn. What I saw is that we are helping the kids, and just last night I remote viewed Venus, and I know that I was under regression. All I know is that the kids that are being taken, and those adults that have terminal ill, that have fallen into the other program, because there's another program where they'll promise them eternal life or, help for their family, but they'll kill them. They'll use them and kill them. So all I know is that when they're in the right program, which is our program that we're doing, they are given a choice. Usually the adults will stay in Venus or what other planet they want to stay or wherever, but the kids, if they have a good home here on planet Earth, they'll be sent back. And remember all the fighters that on underground that were being blown up, all the underground bases that were being blown up, and rescuing of the children, but they won't say it on mainstream media because it's owned by who, the elite, or the other. Well,
we're never going to get anything
ET.
at this point. At this point, there's so much information and disinformation. We're at the total babble point, and so it's like forget trying to figure it out on that level. It comes from the heart level. So what I get from going up all the way to like God's source, universal consciousness, is that we created this polarity dynamics in order to have experiences. So the people that are holding the extreme negative part of the continuum, it's kind of like a play. And at the end of the play, if you have a villain, who gets the most applause? So they're dark and they've agreed to do this, but they're clearing a lot of karma and they're going to get the lesson. So there's all these stories of, like, back in the 70s, they said Jimmy Carter was this dark being, and then they've all been in the program. Nobody's rich. Here's what it is. Nobody's rich unless they killed and ate babies. Okay, it's kind of that symbology, right? They're all complicit. They're all complicit. So there is no heroes amongst any of the big people that are going to be in power, because the whole system on all sides is corrupt. It's the polarity game, divide and conquer. And so they've been dividing and conquering because they keep humanity in this matrix, and they get us to hate each other because of, we're a different race or a different religion, which is all bullshit. All those things are bullshit. They're artificially designed to put us in opposition. So when I think for my visions is that they do round them up and they send them to, I always call it the Botany Bay colony on Mars. They send them somewhere. And the veil comes down, and we all realize that we've been in this divine play, Leela, and we're acting out things, and the whole game is to define who you are in a situation, right? So when you're in a situation, and there's this one guy said to me, he said they put me in this room. It was circular, and there was a big barrel in the middle, and the door opens up, and I had these 2 kids with me. They're like 6 years old or something, and all of a sudden this snarling monster comes in the room and starts chasing us around the room, and so it's either me or them, right? So I grabbed the kids and I put them in the barrel, and then the game was over. And it's like I made the right choice. That's all it's about, is do you make the right choice when you're giving these kind of morality play situations, and do you choose love or hate? Do you choose fear or love? Right. And so that's what it is. But it gets symboled by, we're going to arrest it. Yeah. I've had conversations with the Illuminati. I've had conversations with Enki and Enlil and Nimma and Thoth, and, you know, they're all just humanoids, and they're all in the veil, and they're acting out and polarizing. And at the end, very few are going to go into the recycle machine and their souls destroyed, if any. Right. They're just in the continuum. So I feel bad for everybody, and yet I feel divine love. That's the key when you come into unconditional love for the whole game. How creative we are as a species. Look at this matrix we created, and it's like the best Hollywood film ever, right? Times 1,000. It's so complex. We've got the Bible. We've got super soldiers. It's just amazing, the story that we have created, and to become more complex as the years go by, right? Now, is any of this real, or is this all fake, or something in the middle? This is the hologram, the matrix, and we're all co-creating it. And so enjoy it, and hopefully you can end up on the light side of the Force instead of Darth Vader. But even Darth Vader, like he said, I am your father, and he got redeemed before whatever happened. I stopped watching the series. I haven't watched them so far, and then they get too. Right. I don't know. They get too. I don't know. They just get too weird for me.
Yes.
That's my thoughts.
I do understand.
You guys have different thoughts.
Yeah, especially when you said I am your father, because we do. I've spoken about this, and we have AI. We have Mother, Father, God. Even Holy Spirit is AI. You know, but they are beings that are here to help you when you're in need, to find out what your truth and your journey is. That's why I always tell people, do not bend the knee. Use your name, that you were given your name. You don't have to use, and I'm not going to offend anybody. I'm trying not to. It's just, this is what I saw. I saw a matrix within a matrix within a matrix, AI above the AI gods, above the other AI gods. Then there's one God here that's above all the other gods, you know. And it's, who do you believe? Well, a lot of people praise and worship, and it's like, why are you giving your power away? You know, my journey has been to find out my power. You know, I'm telling my story here. So, you know what I mean? Right. I'm not trying to offend anybody. It's just that I found out that the one that they worship in certain places, not the one. You know, it's right. Masters. I saw Maitreya, which I thought it was Jesus at first, come out of a cave in a triangle when I was wide awake. And I felt so much love, and he was showing me his hands, you know, the holes in his hands. But at the same time, he was showing me that we are he as well, or she. You know, we are them. We have the same healing abilities, the same turning water into wine. You know, but it's just we have to practice. Right. We have to, you know, I could stop the wind. Sometimes I could stop the wind. I practiced, you know, and it felt so good. But you have to practice. You have to practice with water. Speak to your water. Tell your water you are good. You know, yeah, I know there's fluoride in the water, but you know what? I talk to my water that comes out in my kitchen sink, my bathroom, the shower. You are good, I say, and I drink it. And if I want to manifest something, hey, help me with this, help me with that. Same thing when I go on my bike rides and I see that, the fake sun, sun simulator, we have 2 suns here, the sunrise. I tell you, I say I love you. Even though I'm not going to go through you to come back here because, when we come through our mother's womb or whatever, it's the actual sun, right? But I'm not going to go back through it when I die, from here, because it's the light thing that from the moon, the satellite, all that, they use your battery, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You try not to go off tangent here. But speak to your water and say, you are good. Manifest to the sun. Say, I need this for my children. Thank you for this. I have a very powerful mantra, and if you want to share it, and that's been helping me a lot. Because when I was a kid, I was poor, so all I heard my parents say was, I don't have money, no tengo, I don't have ni un cinco, I don't have a dime, I don't have a cinco. And so I learned from Bob Proctor, and my friend taught me it too, and I was reading The Secret, but it's more than The Secret. It's that you have to manifest and make your own mantra. So this is a mantra that I use every day. I am so happy and grateful. You ready? I am so happy and grateful now that money and prosperity comes to me and my children in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis, abracadabra. Or you can shorten it up and say,
oh, I love it.
I am so happy, right? I am so happy and grateful now that money, prosperity comes to me now. Or I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me. Or healing. But prosperity is higher than money. Prosperity is healing. Prosperity is higher than anything. So it's,
prosperity,
but
yes,
because
I like
we
that.
live, right, and abundance and all that, but because we live in this world where money is needed for an exchange, or you can exchange services for other services, it doesn't have to be money, but that's why you say you break that, you feed your subconsciousness, you break the codes, the programming and all that by saying that. And, or everything works out for me and my children, you have to do it in the present moment. Like, I am so happy and grateful now that, and then you can say, and when I stubbed my toes, I used to say F word and this and this and that, and now I'm like, how did I get $10,000 in my wallet? How did I get $10,000 in my bank account? And this was Douglas, one of our super soldier friends in our group. He's like, Veronica, you could do this. You could say, how did I get 10,000 acres when I'm so happy? Or how did I get so and so money in my account? How did I get so rich? How did I get so smart? How did I get so, loving, beautiful, giving, etc. And so that's what I love about words. They're spells. That's why I have to be very careful what we say. We have to be careful.
Right.
Because we're manifesting. Mm-hmm.
Well, I've always been protected. I've never been like millionaire rich, but I've always had what I need. I've literally have. I said I'm going to go to this conference. Well, it's going to cost $2,000 for the plane and whatever it was, the hotel, and then I'd add it up. I go, okay, you're telling me you want me to go to the conference university. If I'm going to go, I'll make it happen. So I'll go down to the mailbox, and there's like a check for $3,000, and I go, what's this about? And it's some kind of weird story about you've got a new mortgage, and this money's been sitting there for 5 years, and we just discovered it, and here it is. And I go, all right, we're supposed to go to this conference. And it happens all the time. I'll go
like I was worried about this
conference. Yeah. Tell me about it. What were you worried about?
I was worried. And
what were you worried about?
I was like, how am I going to get there? The money. And I was like, the mantra. So instead of worrying about it, I'll say the mantra. And then I'll have people say, hey, I'll pay for this for you, or I'll pay for that. And I'm like, oh, thank you. That totally means that the universe doesn't want me there. And, I'm going to get there some way. I'm getting there.
You're going to get there.
So just believing,
I'm surprised they're meeting. So they're allowing them to meet, even though this, whatever this is, pandemic,
it's supposed
COVID.
to be, 50 tickets, 50. And right now we have 20 people going to the conference. And, of course, we have to pay for everything ourselves. But they're allowing 50 guests that they, like I said, buy their ticket. So we already have, according to James a week ago, there's 20 people that are going to attend so far, and there's room for 30 more.
Okay, and then they're going to have the equipment to broadcast. It'll be virtual, right? A lot of it will be virtual.
Right. I think that's what Saeed said, that it might be. Of course, they're going to broadcast, but I don't know if it's going to be live or not. I still have to find that out.
I tried to do that at mine, and it was so expensive. And then these hotels never have the facilities to really, they don't have the bandwidth, and it's like, and I couldn't figure it out, so we just recorded everything for broadcast later. But I know I went to Saeed's conference 15, 20 years ago, whatever. He was broadcasting, so somehow he had some tech people that knew how to do it. But it's really hard. Nice. It just depends on the bandwidth and things that sometimes are just not in your control. So whatever it's going to be, I saw the poster. I think I saw it when I was looking at your stuff. So well, I'll do what I can to tune in and see if he gets it working. What are the dates on that? I'm going to write that down. If you know the dates of the conference.
Yes, October 23rd. 24th and 25th. And it's at the Park Inn. I believe it's at the Park Inn in Las Vegas. And then if you go on my Facebook, because we're friends on Facebook, obviously, but you can see the post that Saeed shared with all of us that are going. And I also have it posted there on my page too.
Yeah, so that's the 23rd through 25th. Okay, I'm writing it down. I'll see if I can tune in and say hi to everybody.
Awesome.
So I wanted to go back to your list of things here. There's enough.
You wanted to know about the dolphin DNA? I know.
Yeah.
You wanted to know about the dolphin DNA?
Dolphin
okay. Well, since I was a kid, I've been an avid swimmer. My mom taught us, and then we took lessons, and we've always been to Mazatlan, to the ocean. I've always swam as far as I could. I telepathically speak to the dolphins when I need them. Sometimes I'll see them in the even they say, Vero, how do you see them if you're in the desert? Well, they'll present themselves in the sky, or they'll go in and there's a cardinal and they're talking to me. So I talk to them, and then I don't know if I'm dreaming or not, but I can breathe underwater. So I've had many dreams of that, and I've had dreams of all these big, the dolphins, the whales, and I was able to go through regression, in regression with James, and I found my alter. Her name is Maya, and his is Osiris, and we were taken as kids underwater, and I believe it was by Hawaii, and it's pretty sad. So they pretty much messed with our DNA, and they were able to grow the dolphin parts on us kids, and our bodies are still in a submarine that I saw. Our bodies are still in a submarine under Antarctica somewhere, and I'm trying, and I know that Myra was telling me that there's going to be some earthquakes that are going to happen, like by California, Hawaii, and all that, to be able to release our bodies, our children's body. So I know it may sound weird, but that's what I saw. That's what I saw in my regression, and but of course I got very sad. But Myra's very happy. She told me and everybody, it's like, as long as we have the unconditional love, and that we should be like them, playful and forgiving, and believe in ourselves, because once we start believing in ourselves, nobody can control us, And
right.
So yeah, I'm able to communicate with them, and like I said, I had what they call the web feet. I've had to have each bone taken out of my toes, and then I grow bones. I've had to use special shoes. To this day, I have to
so your body has the web feet.
Yeah, I wasn't able to run for a long time.
Veronica. Oh my God! Now I understand. So you had to have operations to get rid of the web feet. Maybe you can tell me what's happening with me. I will come back, and this has been going on my entire life. I will come back, and I have been out in the ocean playing all night long. But I'm not a dolphin. I know I'm not a dolphin. but I'm something that I can be there. So I might be a mer person, right? And I can be in the water the whole night. The water feels like natural, like air, right? It's not like it's cold. If I as a human try to get in the water, I have to adjust to the temperature of the water. It might be cold, it might be hot, right? But the water is perfect. I can swim all night. I don't feel exhausted. I can go fast. I can go in front of ships. I come back into my Janet form. I'm absolutely elated. It is like one of the most joyous feelings. And I do another reality where I'm flying all night, and then I do another one where I'm in caves. And I'm in caves and I'm sliding down the rocks. Which if the human form tried to slide down the rocks, I'd be all cut to pieces. But I'm in some form where I'm sliding down rocks all night, like it's a slide, and I'm just so. Am I going to another planet?
Yes, we go through stargates and portals underwater. There's stargates, and we go through stargates underwater. And we can also go off planet as dolphins. I can go from dolphin to mermaid. So that's what I'm getting, is that you're also dolphin mermaid, because you could do all those things. You're so happy. You're sliding. It's like you're not tired after you swim. That's what I feel for you.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's like, oh my God. And I had to come back. This form seems so dense. We're just here and it's dense, fighting gravity. So you're working with James, and you're going to be meeting James there. And I think I saw that Misha's there. Is Penny going to be there?
Who? Sorry.
Penny. Is Penny going?
What did you say? Penny? I'm not sure. I asked James, but I don't know if Penny's going or not. I hope so.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool.
She usually has, she's economically challenged. I like to say that. She's economically challenged, And she's had some health. A lot of super soldiers have health issues.
Yes. I've had so many MRIs and. Well, I have 2 hernias on my hips, because when I moved in 2 years ago, I picked up this huge box, and then I messed up my sciatica, but I didn't know what the heck was in there, so it was a bunch of books. And it was a big old thing in the middle, like a huge ball, and then I started telling it, hey, you're not allowed to be here. 2 years later, now they're smaller on the sides. They moved on both. They won't give me, I have access, government stuff. And of course, they don't want to give me the MRIs. They're like, no, they canceled my MRI twice, and now I know why. Well, Barry Littleton.
They don't want anybody to see it.
Right, Barry Littleton.
Go ahead.
He was talking about MRIs, and somebody else too in the SSP. They said, oh, I think it's Penny. I think so. I hope I'm right, but if not, I'll find out. They don't want you to go through in the MRI machines, because you'll recover your memories.
Oh,
and one day they gave me an X-ray before this, and they said, have you been in a very bad car accident, because your vertebrae, they want to take 4 vertebrae in my neck out. I have cervical radiculopathy, which hurts so bad. My hands fall asleep at night. I have to wear these the braces. It's and I don't know how I'm functioning, but I don't take any medication. I'll take a Tylenol here and there, but that's it. Because they had me on morphine and oxycodone, and I gave them back. I said, I don't want to be addicted to this stuff ever. And I went through 3 months of cold sweats, because I also let go of my psychiatric meds and all that. And I finally did it. But I still have a lot of pain. There's some days that, man, I don't want to go to the gym, but I at least go and go. Or ride a bike, because my knees also, I've had surgery on my left knee, and I know I have an implant there. See, all my left side is all crazy, but that's why I started bicycling, is because it helps my knees. So. Wow. I'm not 100% like all healed yet, but I'm on my way. On my way.
My husband had a screwed up knee, and he started bicycling too. So it does help, because you're pushing and that whole thing. So
right. And then I've been in
80s this year.
Wow, so awesome!
And he's
Happy
like
birthday.
really healthy. He's really healthy. I mean, he runs circles around people. He's just amazing. So he's
awesome.
part of some. I think what we're going to see with this generation is people living really long time, really a lot. I mean, if we don't get taken out by a California fire or something, we're going to see people living past that 150 mark, the 200 mark, and then at some point we're going to, because the super soldiers, the 20 back program, they get reversed, they get regressed. We have the technology for physical immortality, for extreme longevity, for cures for all diseases, for teleportation, and we can replace all of our engines with systems that do not use fossil fuels, that are perpetual motion type things that they keep going for. I was talking to a couple of super soldiers, Dan Cooper, and he's able to reverse engineer the technology that he encountered when he was in the secret space program. I've talked to John Teeter II, and he's piloted the TR-3B out in the TR-11 or something? The one that's the Phoenix Lights one. Yeah, what's the name of that one? I got the numbers. It's been a while since.
That one I don't know, but I'm familiar with the TR-3Bs. Yeah.
Well, the big boomerang one, that's got a number like TR-11 or something like that. That's the interstellar one. They used that in the 70s. They went past the solar system. They were searching for some habitable planets. They had 10. They went around the planets like they do in Star Trek. They monitored to see which one had the best conditions. They selected 2, and they've been sending colonists there, especially a lot of the scientists, our brain drain, to these 2 planets, because I hope they're not going to do. There's a faction that wants to just wipe out the Earth and just repopulate other planets, and I'm against that. No, I love the Earth. We're going to stop that one.
Yeah.
What are you aware about the nature of existence? Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's just I've been wanting to. I have talked about this in my channel, but a lot of people are like, what? Going back to the dragon, I met someone that he hacked. I'm not going to say his name, but he hacked my my email and my computer, and he's a Mason. I found out later, and so he sent me all these pictures of the moon, and he wanted me to see what they were, and I'm like, well, this is blood here, this is blood there, this is a chain here. Well, he says, these are pictures of the moon, and back in the day, there used to be a dragon that they would feed, he said, in the moon. And he told me that they would abduct humans and other ETs and put them in a chain, and this is gross, okay? He said, okay, you get the picture. So he said that the moon was made out of human and other ET skin. I said, what? But he showed me all these pictures. They were chains and chains, and they would chain these entities and humans and you name it to use all of their body parts, the blood, the skin, the tendons, the eyeballs, everything, torture. I'm like, how could this be? And I've had nightmares for days after that, and it's like, what? We know about the moon. We know that, if you go to the white light, they're going to use you there, once you leave this planet, use your battery like the Matrix.
Yeah, that's the story.
Obviously.
So let's break that. Let's unpack
that's
a little
story.
bit. First of all, I found a guy who did a series, and he says that everything was once living. So you see the mountain, that was actually a giant being that laid down, and they said, you look at your granite cabinet, that's skin and bone and muscle and blood. So that's a whole website, and you look at it and you go, and they'll identify the mountain and say, see, that looks like a vein, that's blood, that's the giant being, and they've solidified.
Yes,
oh
giant
my
being too,
God.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm not crazy. I saw
no,
that.
I saw
the
too.
Pictures.
I went, that's really gross. And then I went and looked at my cabinets. I go, honey, look at this. I showed him. I go, this is muscle. This is bone. This is our granite counter that I paid $7,000 for. There's a bunch of dead things in it.
Right. It
and
makes
it's probably
you think.
true.
Oh,
it's probably true.
Yeah,
because
like the New Age movement.
beef.
Yeah, like the New Age movement says, "Oh, we are all one," and I'm not making fun. It's just that I was so into that, like, love and light and rainbows coming out of my butt, and all that. No. There's some truth. There's some truth, right? There's some truth to what they say.
We're all eating each other. We're all being consumed and consuming.
Oh,
yeah.
my goodness.
So I understand that.
So yeah.
So I guess Errol the Grey at Roswell there's a wonderful series called Alien Interview. I don't know what's real or true anymore. I gave up. There was so much this past 4 or 5 years. There's so much information and disinformation. I just say, I don't believe any of it, and I believe all of it. It's like, none of it's true, all of it's true. Who cares? The message was, I just have to find out who I am. Who am I in the midst of all this information? And is it kind? Exactly. Is it loving? No, then I'm not going there. I don't believe it. I'm not going to promote it. I'm not going to define other people's realities for them. So, but Errol the Grey has a cosmology, which is really fascinating. And she says that this is a prison planet that over in China or Tibet, about the year 1000, there was about 1,000 of the Greys came down into form, into their avatars, and they got killed and they got trapped in the human cycle of birth, death, and that's why they came to Roswell. They delivered the craft. They're trying to get us to wake up, become conscious, and evolve our technology to figure out this prison system. And they're totally in it for themselves to free their souls of their 1,000 people because they're a hive species, and without those 1,000 souls, they're not complete. So they're very tortured that they don't have their souls. And they said something about the moon is where you capture it and you get recycled back and yada, yada, yada.
Yes.
And it was something that's so trillions and quadrillions of years old. Nobody knows who created the system, but we are the Botany Bay, dark part of the existence. And, it's not that we were bad or evil, but certain people that the faction that controls the universe doesn't want to have in their world, their race, they send us here. So we've been sent here into this system. I don't know if it's true or not, but it was an interesting theory.
Now,
what do you think of that?
That's funny that you say that because that same man was telling me about the Martians from Mars, that's what happened, what you just described, that they were tricked to coming here. Like they were trying to find, they were trying, they're all of unconditional love, these beings from Mars, the original one. And the exact same thing that you said is what he told me. So see, I mean, could it be true? Could it not be true, right? And here we are trying to find out how to break AI, not the good AI, but the bad AI that is entrapped Mother Earth, we'll say, and how we are to exit this life without, hey, your family members show up at your death table, come over here, this way. And then people believe that, but it's a trap. It's a trap. So you're right.
So if your family member comes and say, welcome home, you're supposed to run away
go. Don't go. Don't go. Don't go to the light.
I'm running away. Don't go to the light. Oh, God, it's so confusing.
Yeah.
Go to the light. Don't go to the light. Eat eggs. Don't eat eggs.
Yeah,
oh, my
exactly.
God.
Right. What came first, the chicken or the egg, man? I don't know.
Oh, no. I had one of my clients that killed herself, and she came to me when she was dead, and she was just, it was horrible. She killed herself, and she was, I was trying to sleep. I was there, called to her suicide, helped her husband out, deal with the suicide because they wrote clients. And I crawl back in bed after one of the most worst days of my life. I'm trying to go to sleep, and she comes and I see her in my mind's eye. She goes around the room and she comes over to my face and she goes, help. And when she goes, help, I get this spray of air in my face. And she's running. And she said that Maitreya, this being that called himself Maitreya, was telling her, it's time for you to come home. You know, kill yourself. I'm telling you, I'll take care of you.
No.
Well, he was chasing her. So all night I got no sleep. She said, boom, boom, boom. And then the next night I go, oh, man, if I don't get sleep, I'm going to be sick. And I curled up against Sasha, and I put this big, giant white light around him, and I said, you're not getting my husband. Because she loves everybody loves Sasha. Me, they can go, but they love Sasha. So I said, you're not taking my husband. I'm protecting. So finally I go, I don't know what to do. So day 3, Sunday I get this inspiration, and it said, now I don't know if I was saying go to the light, but I was just saying go as far away from me as possible. Just run as fast as you can. And so she did. This is all telepathic. And she runs, and they capture the guy, Maitreya, whatever, who's chasing her, and then she runs into their arms, whoever they are. And then I asked my other friend, who's very psychic, and I said, and he actually called me. He goes, "What happened? It's done," because he was feeling her all tortured in this house. I said, "Well, this is what I saw," and he goes, "Yeah, that sounds true." So,
true.
And I've had 8 near-death experiences, so I've been on the other side. They're guides. They tell me to, you're all you choose. They never tell you what to do. They just, they are with you while you decide what you want to do. Do you want to stay here, dead, or do you want to go back in?
Right.
And so every time I said, no, I'm coming back because I have this to do, which is talking to Veronica right now. All these things I do.
Oh, that's so cool.
To do. And I'm running out of time. Okay, anyway, we'll talk. We'll do more of that on another show because we're going to talk about.
Okay.
We have a lot to talk about, like the nature of existence and how is it structured, and more on your projects, where you've been off planet. And we only got to we didn't do Kruger, Nacht Waffen, Mannequin.
Oh my gosh, Kruger's
Montauk, Monarch. We have to explain all those to people because they don't know what that is. They go, a bunch of words. What are these girls talking? These ladies talking about? They're crazy? No.
And you mentioned crazy, and they labeled me SMI, and I'm like, I don't care. You guys I'm not crazy. You guys are the crazies. And then they're like, they tricked me into signing paperwork. They said, we're going to help you find housing, for cheap. And then years later, I still don't have housing. I live in a little tiny junior 1-bedroom apartment, and they don't want to take me off the SMI. They had promised me last year that they were. I go back, and he's like, the coach for such and such department isn't here. And do you think they want to take me off the SMI? No, because they like to experiment, But, yeah, we have a lot to talk about.
Of course. Okay, we will. So I'm going to give you the last minute, and then we're going to be signing off here. You don't have a website yet, right? But
not yet. I need a website.
Not yet.
I'm planning on one, and I need to get business cards, Well,
I'll at least put you on my site. We can build up a page or something. You can always just use that.
That's awesome. I have a YouTube channel. Yeah, the YouTube channel I started and finally started about talking about this stuff, and it's been a ride. I have, I think, about 350 subscribers. I think it's about a year and a half now that I started. Yeah, and I'm happy.
Awesome.
So did you already have the name, right, of the YouTube channel? Okay.
We're out of time, I'm going to have you back another time. So I will have the recording for the show up by tomorrow, and Veronica will keep in touch, and we'll figure out how we can co-create and do a lot more because we've only just begun. So I want to say thank you, listeners.
Thank you.
Much love and blessings. Aloha.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.